This story is only for entertainment purposes. The characters, places and incidents that are shown are all imaginary and have nothing to do with reality. I hope you all enjoy it as an imaginary story and do not relate it with reality. Nothing relates to Idol's personal life. Please share your feedback in comments. This KIMNAMJOON, a stoic, emotionally distant businessman in his late 20s. He believes in structure, efficiency and keeping emotions at bay. Kim-un, a bubbly, free-spirited woman. In her mid-20s she's playful, impulsive and beautiful.
Namjoon and YN got married 4 months ago. They are already struggling in their marriage. He finds her childishness exhausting and she feels unloved. Early in the morning, both Namjoon and YN are wrapped in the blanket, sleeping soundly. The room was quiet, until YN wiggles out from under the covers and immediately regrets it. YN, gasping dramatically, cold. It's so cold I am turning into an ice cube. She quickly dives back under the blanket, pressing her freezing feet against Namjoon's warm legs. Namjoon jerks awake, voice roughly, YN what the, your feet are freezing. YN, that's why I am sharing. Sharing is caring hubby, she said while snuggling closer to Namjoon. Namjoon, it's torturing. YN giggles and wraps herself around him like an octopus pressing her nose against his neck. YN, you're so warm my personal heater. Namjoon, you already have a heater. YN, but my husband is a better heater. Namjoon sighs but doesn't push her away, instead he shifts slightly so that he can come out of her grip. YN, Namjoon, YN whines asterisk Namjoon, get up it's already late. YN, I think I need warm-up kisses, otherwise I might not survive today. Pouting please. Namjoon exhales heavily before pressing a slow warm kiss on her forehead. Time skips. In the morning at the dining table, the table is set with coffee, toast and eggs. Namjoon is reading the news on the tablet while YN is still in her fluffy pajamas, pokes at her pancake dramatically. YN, I lost my appetite, she said while pushing her plate away. Namjoon, you had just said you wanted extra syrup, he said without looking up, sipping his coffee. YN, that was before I remembered we have to go to that awful business party tonight, she said while pouting. Namjoon, it's a formal event, not a battlefield. YN, I have to stand around pretending like I understand financial forecasts while eating tiny appetizers that taste like cardboard. Namjoon, you could always just behave. YN, excuse me, I always behave. Namjoon, last time you challenged the CEO's wife to a shrimp eating contest. YN, and I won, grinning proudly. Namjoon, sighs, that's not the point. YN, you were just mad because I beat your business partner's wife. Namjoon, just don't start a food war this time, exhales in defeat. YN, no promises, she says while taking a bite of a pancake. Namjoon shakes his head but there is a small smile tugging at his lips as much as she drives him insane. He enjoys her silly talks. Time skips at the party. A grand ballroom, elegant candle lights casting a golden glow. Waiters move through the crowd with trays of champagne, and the murmur of business conversations fills the space. Namjoon, dressed in a tailor black suit, stands near the bar while YN clinging to his arm, looking around like a bored child at a grown-up event. YN, how long we have to stay, asked while talking on Namjoon's sleeves. Namjoon, a few hours. YN, you mean forever? I hate this. Namjoon was about to respond when a familiar voice interrupts. Sophia, Namjoon, it's been a while. Namjoon turns. Sophia, dressed in a sleek red gown. Her eyes flick briefly to Un's before settling on Namjoon. Namjoon, Sophia, he said politely. YN, who's this, asks while whispering to Namjoon. Sophia, I am an old friend of Namjoon's. YN, oh. That's nice, he never mentioned you. Sophia's smile flattered just for a second. Well, Namjoon subtly clears his throat. YN of course notices and mentally flies it away as interesting. Sophia, I heard you took over the London branch, impressive, but I suppose I always knew you would go far. Namjoon, nodding slightly, and I heard you moved back to Korea. Sophia, just for now and finally it's good to see you. There's a quiet pause. Sophia's gaze lingers on him, as if searching for something, nostalgia, regret, familiarity. But Namjoon's expression remains unreadable. YN, so you guys were like exes. Sophia, yes, once a long time ago. YN, but now he is mine, YN said while hugging Namjoon slightly. Sophia, yeah, I see, enjoy the party. She turns, walking away gracefully. YN watches her go before looking up at Namjoon. YN, do you think she can beat me in shrimps eating contest? Namjoon chuckles, shaking his head slightly before squeezing her hand and leading her away from the bar. The clock on the wall ticks past midnight. The once warm apartment now feels colder, quieter. YN sits on the couch, curled up in an oversized sweater, her untouched dinner sitting on the table. She glances at her phone, no messages from Namjoon again. The sound of the front door unlocking startles her. She quickly straightens as Namjoon steps inside, loosening his tie. His face is unreadable, but he looks exhausted. He barely glances at her before heading toward the bedroom. YN, you were late again. Namjoon, I had a lot of work. That's what he always says lately. YN folds her arms, trying to ignore the ache in her chest. YN, you barely talk to me these days. Junie, did I do something wrong? Namjoon, it's not that. YN. I just have a lot on my mind. YN, is this because of her? Namjoon's brows furrow slightly, but not in the way she hoped. He doesn't look guilty. He looks tired. Namjoon, no, this has nothing to do with Sophia, he says firmly, but if that's true, then why does he still feel so far away? Namjoon walks past her, placing a soft kiss on the top of her head before heading to the bedroom.
The modern office building looms over YN as she steps inside, her heart pounding. She hadn't planned to come, but after another night of Namjoon's distance, she couldn't sit at home any longer. If he wouldn't talk to her, she'd find out why herself. She approaches the receptionist, her voice softer than usual. YN, I need to meet Namjoon. Receptionist, do you have any appointment, ma'am? YN, oh no, I don't need, I am his wife. The receptionist hesitates before nodding and picking up the phone. YN taps her fingers against the desk, feeling strangely nervous. Why does it feel like she doesn't belong here? Just as she's about to check her phone, movement catches her eye. She turns, and freezes. Sophia, walking out of Namjoon's office like she belongs there. A sleek, confident stride, her lips curled into that same unreadable smile. She's talking to someone, laughing lightly, completely at ease. YN feels her stomach drop. What is she doing here? Before she can think of what to do, Sophia's gaze flickers over, and lands on her. A slow recognition dawns in Sophia's eyes. She doesn't look surprised. If anything, she looks amused. Sophia, YN fancy seeing you here. YN, I didn't realize you work here. Sophia, I don't, just consulting a project. Consulting, with Namjoon. YN's throat tightens, but she keeps her expression neutral. She won't let Sophia see her shaken. Before she can respond, a familiar voice cuts in. Namjoon. YN. YN turns, and there he is. Looking at her, but also at Sophia. There's no panic in his expression, but there's something else, something she can't read. Sophia, I'll let you two talk. Nice seeing you again, YN. She walks away effortlessly, leaving behind the weight of her presence. YN turns back to Namjoon, searching his face for something, an explanation, reassurance, anything. But all she gets is a sigh as he rubs his temple. Namjoon, you shouldn't have come here. YN swallows, keeping her voice steady. YN, I had to. Because lately, I feel like my husband is distancing himself from me. Namjoon's jaw clenches, but he doesn't deny it. And that silence, that hurts more than anything he could have said. YN stands in front of Namjoon, waiting for an explanation. Her heart is pounding, but his face remains unreadable. Behind them, Sophia's presence still lingers in the air, even though she's already walked away. YN, why didn't you tell me she was working with you? Namjoon exhales, rubbing his temple like he's already exhausted by the conversation. Namjoon, because it's just work, YN. I didn't think it mattered. Her stomach twists at his words. Not because he sounds guilty, but because he sounds detached. Like her feelings in this don't even register.
YN crosses her arms, trying to steady herself, but the weight in her chest only grows. YN. It didn't matter. Namjoon, she's not just some random coworker. You know that. His jaw tightens for a brief moment, but he doesn't look away. Namjoon, and, what do you want me to say? That I kept it from you on purpose? That I thought you'd overreact? The words sting, sharp and cutting, and for a second, she forgets to breathe. Overreact, that's what he thinks she's doing. She lets out a quiet laugh, but there's no humor in it. YN, wow, so now I'm the problem. He sighs, running a hand through his hair, frustration evident. But it's not frustration at himself, it's at her. Like she's the one making this difficult.
Namjoon, I didn't say that. YN. You didn't have to. The silence between them is thick, heavier than the words they aren't saying. And suddenly, she wonders if this conversation is even about Sophia anymore or if it's about something much bigger. Namjoon exhales sharply, shaking his head. Namjoon. YN, I don't get why you're making this such a big deal. YN, are you serious right now? You kept this from me, Namjoon. You knew exactly how I would feel about it and yet you kept it away from me. YN's hands clench into fists at her sides, her nails digging into her palms as she fights back the lump forming in her throat. YN, I can't believe you're turning this around on me. Namjoon exhales sharply, rubbing a hand over his face before meeting her eyes, his expression colder now. Namjoon, because this is ridiculous, YN. You're acting childish. His words hit harder than she expects. Her breath catches for a moment, and then, something inside her shifts. The hurt turns into something sharper anger. YN, childish. She lets out a bitter laugh, shaking her head. You lied to me, and I'm the one being childish. Namjoon. His jaw tightens. I didn't lie, I just didn't tell you because I knew you'd react exactly like this, blowing it way out of proportion. YN. Wow. She crosses her arms, the distance between them growing, not just physically but in a way that feels much bigger. You know what, Namjoon? Maybe I wouldn't overreact if you actually talked to me instead of keeping things from me. For a second, he looks like he might say something to fix this, to take it back. But instead, he just sighs, shakes his head, and steps past her. The morning after their argument, she wakes up to the sound of him getting ready. Normally, he'd kiss her forehead before leaving. This time, there's nothing. Just the quiet shuffle of his footsteps and the click of the door closing behind him. She spends the day pretending it doesn't bother her. Pretending she doesn't keep glancing at her phone, waiting for a message that never comes. When he finally returns home that evening, she's curled up on the couch, scrolling through her phone, not really reading anything. Days pass like this, like they're just two people existing under the same roof, nothing more. No stolen glances, no accidental touches. Just cold, unbearable distance. YN hates it. She hates how the silence between them feels louder than any fight they've ever had. But she's too stubborn to break it first. And maybe, just maybe, so is he. YN is in the kitchen, absent-mindedly stirring her coffee when a knock at the door breaks the silence. She isn't expecting anyone, but when she opens it, her stomach drops. Sophia stands there, arms crossed, a knowing smirk playing on her lips. The sight of her alone makes YN's blood boil, but she forces herself to stay composed. YN, what are you doing here? Sophia steps inside without waiting for an invitation, her heels clicking against the floor as she surveys the apartment with thinly veiled amusement. Sophia, I thought it was about time we had a little talk. You know, woman to woman. YN clenches her jaw, already knowing this won't be a pleasant conversation. YN, say whatever you came to say and leave. Sophia, look, I'll get straight to the point. Namjoon doesn't need someone like you holding him back. He needs a partner, not a childish, insecure wife who throws tantrums over nothing. YN's fingers tighten around her coffee mug, but she doesn't let Sophia see how deep the words cut. YN, that's funny. I don't remember asking for your opinion on my marriage. Sophia smirks. Oh, but it's not just my opinion. You've seen it yourself, haven't you? The way he's been distant. The way he's been avoiding you. That's not love, sweetheart. That's exhaustion. YN feels the sting of those words, but she refuses to flinch. Sophia, be honest with yourself, YN. Namjoon deserves better. He deserves someone who understands him, someone who isn't so needy. YN's nails dig into her palm, her mind racing. But she refuses to let Sophia see her waver. Taking a slow breath, she lifts her chin, meeting Sophia's gaze with fire in her eyes. YN, and you think that someone is you? Sophia doesn't deny it. Instead, she just shrugs, like it's obvious. Sophia, I think he deserves happiness. And let's be real, you're not giving him that anymore. For a moment, YN just stands there, the weight of everything crushing down on her. But then, something shifts. The sadness, the insecurity, it burns away, leaving only steel in its place. YN, let me make one thing clear, Sophia. You don't get to walk into my home and tell me what my husband needs. You don't get to pretend you know our love, our history, or our struggles. Sophia's smirk falters slightly, but YN isn't finished. YN. If Namjoon has something to say to me, he can say it himself. Until then, stay out of my marriage. Sophia lets out a scoff, rolling her eyes, but YN doesn't miss the slight irritation in her expression. Sophia, suit yourself, but don't say I didn't warn you. She turns and walks out, leaving behind a thick, suffocating silence. YN stands there for a long moment, heart pounding, fists clenched. Sophia's words echo in her mind, planting doubts she wishes she could ignore. The apartment feels colder than ever as YN sits at the desk, her hands trembling as she grips the pen. The weight of Sophia's words lingers in her mind, mixing with the suffocating silence between her and Namjoon over the past few days. She knows he's been distant. She knows things haven't been the same. And maybe, just maybe, Sophia was right. Maybe Namjoon is exhausted. Maybe she is holding him back. Tears blur her vision as she takes a shaky breath and presses the pen to the paper. Namjoon, I don't know when things started changing between us, but I feel it. I know you do too. I never wanted to be the person who made you feel trapped, who made love feel like an obligation instead of something effortless. But lately, that's what it feels like. Like I'm forcing myself into a space where I don't belong anymore. You don't talk to me the way you used to. You don't see me the way you used to. And maybe I was too stubborn to admit it, but now I can't ignore it. I love you, Namjoon. I always will, but I won't stay where I'm not needed. Where I'm just a burden. So I'm letting you go. I hope you find the happiness you deserve, even if it isn't with me. YN. She places the letter on his bedside table, her tears staining the edges. Then, as quietly as she can, she packs a small bag. She doesn't take everything, just enough to get by. Maybe she's still holding on to the hope that he'll come after her, that he'll fight for her. With one last glance at the place that once felt like home, she steps out into the cold night, leaving behind the man she loves and a part of herself with him. Namjoon walks into the apartment, exhausted from the long day. He tosses his keys onto the table and kicks off his shoes, expecting to hear YN in the living room or the kitchen. But there's only silence. He frowns, glancing around. The apartment feels off. Like something's missing. Then he sees her note on the bedside table. His heart lurches as he strides toward it, hands unsteady as he picks up the paper. His eyes scan the words, but they blur together for a moment. His chest tightens, his breath catching as he reads each painful sentence. I won't stay where I'm not needed. He grips the letter tighter, his mind racing. His stomach twists as he glances around the room, her closet door slightly open, the empty space where her bag used to be. She's gone. Namjoon. No, 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 no. He stumbles back, running a hand through his hair as panic sets in. How could she think she wasn't needed? How could she believe, even for a second, that he didn't want her here? He grabs his phone with shaky hands and dials her number. It rings, and rings, and rings. Voicemail. Namjoon. YN, please. Where are you? Just call me back. We need to talk. Namjoon pulls into the parking lot of a small motel, his chest tightening as he scans the dimly lit building. He doesn't know for sure if she's here, but something tells him he's right. He rushes to the front desk, his voice urgent. Namjoon, I'm looking for someone who checked in tonight. YN. The receptionist eyes him warily. They're not supposed to give out guest information, but something in Namjoon's desperate expression softens them. Receptionist. Room 206. He nods, murmuring a quick, thank you, before sprinting toward the stairs. His pulse pounds in his ears as he stops in front of the door. For a second, he hesitates. What if she refuses to see him? What if he's already lost her? Namjoon. YN. Please, open the door. Silence. Namjoon. His voice cracks slightly, I know you're in there. Please don't shut me out. Namjoon. I read your letter. He swallows hard. And you're wrong, YN. About everything. Namjoon. I never wanted you to feel unwanted. I never wanted you to think I didn't need you. He lets out a shaky breath, I was scared. I was so damn scared that I was messing everything up, that I'd push you away if I said the wrong thing. And I did exactly that, didn't I? Silence lingers in the air. Namjoon presses his forehead against the door, his fingers curling into fists. Namjoon. Please, baby. Just open the door. For a long moment, nothing happens. Then, slowly, the lock clicks. The door opens just a fraction, and YN stands there, eyes red-rimmed, her expression unsure. But Namjoon doesn't wait. The moment he sees her, he steps inside, pulling her into his arms. She stiffens at first, but then she melts into him, her hands clutching the fabric of his jacket. He holds her like she's the most precious thing in the world because to him, she is. Namjoon murmurs into her hair, "Don't ever leave me again." YN swallows back a sob, gripping him tighter. YN, "Then don't make me feel like I have to." He pulls back just enough to cup her face, pressing his forehead to hers, his eyes full of regret, love, and a silent promise. Namjoon, "I won't, I swear, I won't." And in that moment, despite all the pain, all the doubt, she lets herself believe him. YN, "Namjoon, what aren't you telling me?" Namjoon, "Sophia, she's been blackmailing me." YN, "What?" Namjoon lets out a bitter laugh, shaking his head as if disgusted with himself. Namjoon, "She has been blackmailing me for the past few weeks. She has my new project's information that can ruin my whole company." YN stares at him, the weight of his words settling deep in her chest. Sophia wanted to break them apart. And for a moment, it almost worked. YN, softly, "She came to me tonight, you know." Namjoon's head snaps up, his entire body tensing. Namjoon, "What did she say?" YN swallows, her voice unsteady. YN, "That I was childish. That you didn't need me. That I was holding you back." Something dark flashes in Namjoon's eyes, his fists clenching at his sides. Namjoon, muttering to himself, "That woman." Namjoon, don't ever believe anything she says." He presses his forehead against hers, his voice breaking. "You are the only thing in my life that's real, YN. She could take everything, my work, my reputation, but she can't take you. I won't let her." YN, "What do we do now?" Namjoon pulls her into his arms, holding her like she's the only thing keeping him grounded. Namjoon, "We fight back. Together." The next morning, Namjoon arranges a meeting with Sophia at his office. YN stands by his side, her presence a silent but powerful statement. Sophia walks in, smug as ever, but when she sees YN there, her expression falters. She wasn't expecting this. Sophia, mockingly, well, looks like she came running back. How predictable." Namjoon, coldly, "Enough, Sophia. I know what you've been doing. And I'm done playing your game." His tone is sharp, unforgiving. For the first time, Sophia looks slightly uneasy. "Sophia, I don't know what you're talking about." Namjoon places a folder on the table. Inside are emails, messages, proof of her manipulation, of her threats. YN had spent the night helping him gather everything. Namjoon, leaning forward, voice firm, "You thought you could blackmail me? Ruin my marriage? Guess what, Sophia? You lost." She glares at YN one last time, but YN doesn't even flinch. She's done letting this woman make her feel small. "Sophia, this isn't over." YN, calmly, but firmly, "Yes, it is." With nothing left to say, Sophia storms out, her footsteps echoing in the hallway. And just like that, she's out of their lives for good. Later that night, back at their apartment, YN and Namjoon sit on the couch, the weight of everything finally settling. YN, softly, "She almost won, you know." Namjoon, guilt in his eyes, "I know. And I'll spend forever making it up to you." She looks at him, really looks at him, the man she fell in love with, the man she almost lost. And for the first time in weeks, she doesn't feel distant from him. YN, smiling slightly, "Forever is a long time." Namjoon, pressing a kiss to her forehead, "Good. Because I'm not going anywhere." They hold each other, the storm finally passing. There's still work to do, wounds to heal, but they'll do it together. And this time, nothing will come between them.